Welcome to Release to Results. Salvation is your only function here. Salvation is your only function here. Salvation and forgiveness are the same. Salvation is your only function here. God still is love. God still is love. So we're dealing with appearances and illusions of things other than God's love and his will. And as we allow ourselves to practice this idea that salvation is my only function here, we're just correcting our perspective, just having a little shift, just a little change in how we've been perceiving, which takes us from darkness into light. So you can escape the illusions by recognizing your oneness, your presence, your truth in God. God has but one son, that's you. That's you. It is God's will that his son is you. And what kind of insanity would have me denying God's will? Would have me pretending that my function is something other than being his son? If such a great gift and truth was available to me, why would I invest in something other than that? And it's simply my innocence and buying into something that, was suggested at some point in my experience, and I bought into it. The Course in Miracles is having us go ahead and give away, sell, give up any of these illusions about ourselves as being small, separate, weak, limited, to be in our true inheritance as the Son of God, God's only Son. All of us in the sonship is, as the Course in Miracles refers to it, the sonship, all of us as God's Son, as one. Salvation is my only function here. Salvation and forgiveness are the same. It's the same. It's the letting go, absolutely, of any illusions that my function is here for something other than love. And so, could you allow this idea today? Salvation is my only function here. God is still love. Salvation and forgiveness are the same. So you can take any illusion that there's something else going on here, any regrets, any guilt, any attacks, any other function you've given yourself other than salvation, forgiving, and being God's son, and just release it. Just let it go. Let's begin. Salvation is my only function here. Salvation is my only function here. And in that salvation, I have the opportunity to forgive all thoughts which oppose the truth of my completion, unity, and peace. So rather than making wrong of, guilting, or trying to push away or stuff down some thoughts which would oppose the truth of you, could you simply allow and take the opportunity to forgive some thought, some perception that is not his will? Is there anything which you have been carrying, any illusion you've been subscribed to, that has you darkened from your role as God's son? any resistance to being God's one Son, His will being that for you. And could you open up and allow up any illusion, any mistaken perception of some other function, and just allow that feeling for but a moment of eternity? The feeling behind the thought. There's some other thing you're here doing besides being God's Son, saved, complete, and holy. Could you open your secrets to His kindly light and just allow the feeling to be dissipated, the darkness to be lit? Could you allow whatever was carried to be dropped, let go of, as you let God reveal to you the truth of what you are? Would you let go of that which is not His will and be enlightened like the world as His Son? Salvation is your only function here. These are the words in which your freedom lies. Your Father loves you. All the world of pain is not His will. Forgive yourself the thought He wanted this for you. Then let this thought, which He has replaced all your mistakes, enter any darkened place of your mind that brought thoughts that were never His will. Allowing this idea, salvation is my only function here. Let God do the rest. Just open your secrets to His kindly light. What would have you hiding from Him and His will for you? Could you trust in the perfect safety of opening to God and just allow any secrets, any resistance, any mistaken functioning come to that light? God is still love, and this is not His will. In grace, could you allow what is not to be enlightened just by noticing it, feeling it, surrendering it? Just lightening anything that was dark, revealing it was never there. Could you let go of what is not your function and not His will? Would you let go of any darkness? Let it be lightened by God. When could you let go and let the love that is God restore His will to you? All the pain was never His will for you. All the appearances of wrong or danger, it's not His will for you. God is still love. Salvation is your only function here. So, taking any darkness, any hiding, any misperception, what would you bring before God's kindly light now? What secrets would you have lightened from your heart, from your being, Son of God? And could you allow this light to shine brightly upon anything you were carrying, any illusion? Could you sit with this feeling, just bringing it to God, bringing it to light, bringing it to love, just sitting with it, noticing it? And could you surrender all that is not to be what is? Would you surrender anything that is not His will? When could you surrender to God, Son of God? Salvation is your only function here. Any appearances of otherwise are not His will. God is still love. Salvation is your only function here. Salvation and forgiveness are the same. Could you allow yourself to open up and you might just ask, what have I not forgiven in myself? What have I been holding that is not His will? And could you allow forgiveness, whatever comes up, whatever answer arises? Could you go behind the thought and notice the feeling and bring it to life? The kindly light of God shining forgiveness on what never existed. Could you just allow that feeling, whatever it was, to meet God's kindly light? And could you surrender to God? Whatever was not forgiven, let it be done, forgiven. Would you allow forgiveness to replace darkness and be restored to your function? You are the Son of God, and that is His will. Salvation is your only function here. Today, do you lay forgiveness on your mind and let all fear be gently laid aside, enlightened, that love may find its rightful place in you and show you that you are the Son of God? Remind yourself God's plan. Salvation is your only function here. Could you allow yourself to be the Son of God? This is His will. Salvation is your only function here. Salvation and forgiveness are the same. Could you open yourself in totality to that which is love? Let nothing darken any of your being this day, longer than a moment of glimpsing at that darkness to enlighten it. Have the best day today, Son of God.